Hello everyone and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 316. Today is Saturday, May 9th, 2020, and I'm glad you could join me today. It's like close to the usual time. It's not too crazy. It's definitely a very foggy day today, so we are in the clouds, which apparently has not horribly affected the light, so. Oh well, like, it rolled in yesterday night and I don't think it left. I think this mostly manifests as me wishing I was wearing socks, but not wearing socks, so. Whatever, such is life. So in exciting news, the missing piece of hardware for the IKEA bed manifested. And now there's different missing hardware that is preventing us from installing the bed, so. But this is like bolts missing instead of strange sheet metal stamped things. So we're improving every day. As you do. So, at some point I'll figure out what's supposed to go where, when, why. So, not too crazy. Nothing has been finished this week, though this could have been. So, as I was handling the delightful merino cashmere silk yarn, which is the cashmere base by Fiber Optic, I concluded that I didn't want to put it away where it belonged and that I wanted to knit a hat. So I wound the ball of red, which the colorway is Holly Berries, and held it with the Morticia in order to make this hat. But I'm not finishing anything because Stash Dash is coming. So I held this yarn tripled. So in the bottom garter band, I held 2 strands black and 1 strand red. And then in this top section, I held 2 strands red and 1 black. And this has resulted in me having at least somewhat depleted ball of red and even more depleted ball of black. But I can't quite put it away yet because it is not yet time. So this is a trial hat for the Deersby Level 1. This is how much blue is left. There's a lot of yarn. But it seems like it's going to work out fairly well, but it's just nearly done. I still need to do the last couple of rows. So it has ear flaps that lovingly cup your ears. This look like totally sideways on my head. Like in real life, it's not that crazy. So it has like double thickness and garter squish by the ears, and then it's just normal thickness on top. So I was holding the 3 light fingering yarns in order to create a worsted. Maybe that was a little light. So in the past, I've knit a horrifying amount of hats. And so this ended up working out to be a 96 stitch hat, even though the pattern was more like 84. And the pattern is the 1898 hat, which is, I think, by Kristen Brins. It is a super popular, free pattern on Ravelry. So it's pretty toasty, it's pretty nice. I really like how the colors worked out. It is not as garish as the last hat. Ever improving. And I didn't do a perfect job because I misread the directions and didn't leave a long enough tail. Like, I left like a 20 centimeter tail, not a 20-inch tail. So I ended up doing something a little bit less beautiful than Kitchener-ingot clothes, more or less, but that's not too crazy. The way that it's constructed, like all the ends are extremely well hidden in this. So this will sit in this bag until Stash Dash begins, and not too long. I probably need to get a move on filling as many bobbins as humanly possible to be prepared. And when those bobbins are full, taking the yarn off and filling them some more. I don't know, I probably should take it off anyways. So that ended up taking the rest of the weekend, more or less. I think I ended up getting that to a wrapped up point while watching a Star Wars movie on Monday or Tuesday, whatever. So what didn't get a lot of love is this project. So this is the Sizzle Pop. It is a Leslie Ann Robinson pattern that I'm knitting with mozzarella yarn in the whatever, the tags are probably in the bottom of this bag. That you can never have enough socks, and you're never going to keep me down. So, but I have barely worked on this. Let's see, where is the marker? Now I feel like I'm going a little crazy. Did I like take out the marker and not put it back in again? Well, this was in a slightly awkward position, and now it is in a less awkward position, but I do have to laugh about the marker being totally gone. So you can see the leaf pattern pretty clearly on the variegated side. And then on the purple side, the pattern is easier to see if it is stretched. So it's the inverse pattern. Can I bring it in such a way where you can actually see? So let's see if I can do something like this. So if I spread it out a little bit more, is that more clear? I don't know. But that definitely has a pattern to it. It's just a little bit less pleasing. It's so weird that I don't have the progress keeper. I'll put a new progress keeper in, but I might have done one more row of chart and not too much more. So it hasn't gone full love. What would it be? This is probably the thing I have that's closest to completion, so putting some more love into this would be a good idea. But oh well, whatever. Because there's still lots and lots of yarn. Plenty of yarn to go. So I'll start thinking more seriously about how big I really want it to be as I get it past wingspan, I think. I'm not there yet, and I won't get there unless I work on it, so as you do. What got more love this week is actually the Mesa sweater wrap. So this is what I have so far on this. I have finished the lace and I have begun to incorporate the second color, but because this section is mostly purple, I think it's going to end up looking fairly gray, and I just have to accept that. So lace, as you can see, and then you can maybe see a little bit of the color change. So what's showing up as darker is the next color in the sequence, but it is pretty subtle. And because of the way that because the darker section is actually stockinette, it rolls up a little bit on the side, so I don't know. And this should be more faded, so you can sort of see the lights and darks in there. So this ended up getting at least a little bit of love on it. I am working through actually a gradient order at this point. And it's also very interesting because it turned out that the beginning of this ball actually seemed to have a lot more teal in it. So that was interesting. Let's see how close I can bring it. So those slightly lighter ridges here are the first color, and then the darker regions are the other one. But it's pretty subtle. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I haven't even checked. Yeah, this ball is definitely getting much smaller at this point, and I can definitely, like, it's very interesting how many different colors are in this specific ball of yarn. So it is pretty subtle, even though you can't tell. So this is purple, purple, blue. Cover my face. But it's hard sitting on the other side of the window how that ends up turning out. So purple, purple, blue. And then what I'm knitting with right now, and then also blue, blue, purple. Bring it all the way in, and then step back. Bring it back close. Yeah, that's sort of blown out. It looks teal at that point. But like they are, this one is definitely lighter than the other guy, so it'll be interesting. Up next is blue, 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 and we shall go from there. So this means that my last color is going to be purple, which I can pull out here so you can see the slow progression, but this is just so much more pink in real life that it's a little bit crazy. So, but this is one of the biggest gains, so it's probably good that I am ending with this one. And then as I'm sort of looking at this guy in the natural light, there is like so much teal in this. That's interesting. So that is how things are proceeding right now. I'll have to figure out if I want to message the designer about the ramifications of a modification. Let's see how it goes. So that Mesa Sweater Wrap is a pattern by Romy Hill, and I am knitting it out of my Ginny the Fleece spend. So this is a Corriedale Cross BFL Cross Shetland that I dyed and spun myself, and I have a demented amount of yardage. So I still have quite a lot of knitting to go on this. But such is life. So, hand-spun project, not too crazy. Hard to tell what in the world the colors are doing, but I am now in the part of the pattern where it doesn't change for quite some time. Yep, so the only puzzle I think right now is actually figuring out if I want to modify it. So there, I can see a path in which, ooh, dropping stitches. I can see a path in which I can rotate the sleeves by rotate how the sleeves are done by 90 degrees in order to have it be a little bit less annoying to knit. And not like the way it's done. The pattern is annoying. It's just a case where it's like, okay, harder to tell where I am because this pattern is written with 4 balls of yarn in mind, and I have 9, so that changes things somewhat. Up. And right now I'm fixing the drop stitches because that cannot stand. So, should be interesting. So far, very, very straightforward knit. It's just a matter of figuring out how I want, if I want to modify the pattern to make it a little bit friendlier for the yarn, or if I'm going to keep it as is. So, should be interesting. And it certainly is a fairly dark color right now, but it's going to get a little darker before it gets lighter. And then I am keeping this in my ridiculous San Francisco bag. So I changed project bags, so should be good. That seems to be about right for holding all that stuff. Okay, so I will be right back. So I have finished spinning the singles for my alpaca spin. So this was Spotted Circus alpaca and Starbright nylon that had been dyed into roving, dyed into 3 colors. I split the braid into pieces. I turned all the pieces into bats. I decided that there wasn't enough variation in color in the bats I created, and so I then carded the bats again, mixing a little bit of the neighbor colors into the main part of the bats, so that I had 75% of the original color and then 12.5% of the neighbors. And this has resulted in some very cool yarn. Right now I just have it on my Lazy Kate, but let's see. Let me even see what's going on here. I'll just cover my face. So, yeah, I have no clue what's entirely going on here. But, so there are bits of purple and blue in this mostly teal one. This purple one, which is much more pink in real life, has bits of teal and blue. And then this blue one has bits of purple and teal in it. So this one had more variation in color because the blue was the border between this purple and teal. So these are all ready to go. I think I'm just going to 2-ply them on themselves. So this is 4 ounces of fiber, and it'll make some very interesting minis. So that was what I ended up finishing the teal last night. I got the blue on earlier in the week, so another project bites the dust. So not too bad, and that was a part of my completely twisted arbitrary spin the bin. So another bin project completed, which means that I'm a good way through all of my plan spins, which is exciting. So exciting that I'm going to start a project that is found in my bin. So the Jenny the Fleece spin, parts of it were in my bin, and that ended up taking till April to finish. Then I had 8 ounces of the Two Guys Yarn Company roving, which is now yarn. The alpaca, and this was fiber that I ended up, both of these are fibers I ended up getting at SSK. The alpaca is in my bin, so that's not entirely done, but it should be pretty quick to wrap up. And I have 8 ounces of nest that I will probably end up spinning in the June, July, August timeframe. Though some of it'd be the case where right now in the nest group they're having a spin along, but the pace of the spin along is, there are a lot of rules in this cal, and I'm having a hard time making it work for me. First off, because I just didn't have enough nest to participate. But now that I am reunited with my stash, I do have enough to participate, but I'm not spinning at that fast. Or would it be the case, depending on what sort of yarn I decide to create, it will result in different things. Though I'm sort of tempted to do an over this fold spin, so, and make some very fluffy yarn with it. I don't know. But what I've been pondering right now, and of course things are, here we go, slightly disturbed from what they were earlier. Maybe that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. One of these is supposed to be down there. Okay. One of these is supposed to be lined up more like this. So I have pulled out my Three Waters Farm Lakeside Forest fiber. This is a Polworth silk blend that I would like to make socks with. And I ended up explaining to the Dear Sweet Lovable one sort of what my conundrum was. So first off, the way that it's dyed, I can't, I'd end up getting some different things because of that. So because of the sort of the dye sequence, it's serpentine, basically. So I would have to spin the middle section in a different direction than the other ones, or flip it, or something like that. And then the other thing is that I would like a lot of barber pulling, because I find these colors to be very harmonious together. But there's only like, there's more of this, it's probably a decent portion of this forest green color, and then a lot of teal in the middle, and then we have a bright pop of silver and a bright pop of lime green, and then a little bit of sort of the darker silvery color on this end, but not a lot of the darker silver. So it'll be interesting to see how these end up all combining. And I would say, looking sort of at the sheen and shine in this isn't necessarily a well blended pulver silk blend, so there's definitely more clear chunks, or maybe just the variation in the color of the dye ends up exposing that. I'm not sure. So I need to figure out how I'm splitting this. So if I want to maximize barber pulling, then that would mean that I would probably have to do one of two things. I would need to either break this up pretty randomly, or I need to do something more structured like a fractal spin, but knowing that one of my segments was actually going to be spun backwards to keep with the grain of the fiber. And I wonder if this has been problems that I've had in the past with keeping with the grain of the fiber as well. Oops. I don't know, whatever. So that is sort of my puzzle at the moment, but it was a lot of fun to just sort of grab all this and look at it and be like, ah, this is how it was made. How do I want to re-swizzle it into something cool? So that's probably what I'm going to do after I'm done recording is commit to something. So there's fire somewhere in here. That's weird. I swear that I had my death socks in that bin because a lot of my handspun socks are sitting off to the side. There was an awful lot of death, doom, and destruction with respect to my handspun socks, so I think that I just had this whole region dedicated to mending as well. But I'm not seeing it right now, so. Like, these ones look good. I have mended them and not too long ago because the heel blew out on this pair. And lessons learned, I guess. Like, the blue in this was actually the first indie dye yarn I had ever bought, so you live and you learn. It probably did not as keep as well as we would all hope. But just like I don't know, there's all sorts of distractions in here. What would it be? I would like some of my normal knitting room accoutrements to be back in here, because that would be nice to have my chair and have my yarn shelf and all of these other things put together, but it will probably take a little bit more re-swizzling of the room before that is all decided. Whatever. And probably the case of getting rid of furniture we don't want. Like, there's this dresser over there that's just like, if you're not going to use it, and I'm not going to use it, like, why are we holding on to it? Like, it's really, really beat up. So, and really, really awkwardly small. So, just like, it takes up a lot of room and it can't hold clothes. Like, let it go. Let it go. So, I don't know, it should be interesting, but I think a decent amount of my care and attention will be to maximizing yardage for stash nest, so we'll see. I don't know, if I'm actually spinning fingering weight, it may take the whole month in order to get through the polar silk, so whatever. Best to start now. Start early, call it good. And then the only other thing, so this is actually a part of my bin and probably does require care and attention to finish, is my Fun Onion bat. Oops, dropped the spindle. So I might end up weighing this and seeing where I'm at on the project and figuring out where I stand at the moment. There's all sorts of fun little bits and bobs in this bag, but right now I was working from this big one, but obviously it is disconnected itself. And there's all sorts of crazy stuff in here, like sparkle and some crazy thread stuff, and it's been a lot of fun to work with. So this was a bat that Susan made. She's Fun Onion. And I've been spinning it on my Bosworth MIDI. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. And this is also one of my bin projects, so it would be, so I'm interested to weigh, because this started off as a pair of 2.5 ounce bats that I'm spinning randomly. I don't know. There's gotta be some way of getting me to be random, and this is random and fun. All sorts of different crazy layers of color in here, which is cool. So this is in my bin. I think I had pledged 4 ounces, I'd weighed it, and that was about what was left. So I'm not sure how far I've gone in this, how much this weighs, I don't know. But it has been my travel project, but I'm not traveling, so there may need to be some sitting down and figuring out what it is I want to do. Or how I'm going to keep moving forward on this project when it's not really what I naturally gravitate to. Like, it's fun to spin on a spindle. It's fun in certain contexts to spindle spin. It definitely gets this moving a lot more than usual. I was like getting my arms above my head. Like doing less of that with less yoga. So I may end up weighing this and figuring out where I stand on the project. If I'm at the halfway point, I think I'm going to pull what I have on the spindle so far off, because it's getting to that point where it feels like the spindle is full, or if it turns out that I'm at a 1/3 mark, that's also totally valid as well. But I feel like I'm driven along. So that's another one of those projects that's going to whatever. Another thing that I intend to get done this year, and hopefully I can put some focus on. Call it good. So I brought that with me. I don't even know whether or not I worked on it. I might have worked on it. Whatever. Like, basically, like, I take all of my, or I have all of my crafting stuff around me on the couch, and then when I go to podcast, I schlep it to the back of the house, and then present all the fun stuff, and then take it all back to the couch. I don't know, I feel like some wandering might end up being fun today. I think this was my drum critter. Just like, there are many distractions in this room right now, but it's definitely looking good for getting it more into order soon. And with that, hopefully, and with getting it more into order, hopefully can figure out where everything's going to go and how I want things to be. And it's getting to the point now where we're clearing out enough boxes that the possibilities are a little bit more clear, and sort of gently zhuzhing things to figure out how I want it to be. Like, for a while I had my dining room table diagonally in the dining room, because that made it so that you could have it centered under the chandelier thing. But for the past week or so, I don't know, time is fluid. It just had the dining room table long ways in the dining room, and then shifted so that it isn't centered under the chandelier, and that seems to be working a lot better. And I moved my buffet table, so right now it is holding my laptop, so that I do not do any nonsense during the weekend. My work laptop, because that's sort of where I've been sitting and working so far. I've been in the dining room, which unfortunately is as far away in the house as I can get from the Wi-Fi. This room is probably the best Wi-Fi that isn't in the laundry room, so as you do. Because at some point someone punched the cable through whatever, the bottom floor of the house, and that's where the laundry room is at the moment. I don't know. It's still coming together. I can't see how it's gonna work yet, but it's getting better. So, yeah. So I don't know. We'll see whether or not a great leap forward happens with respect to this room and getting everything all arranged in a somewhat sensible way. We'll see. I'm sure that there would be. I'm sure it all will work out in the end. Maybe today there will also be some figuring out boxes that have ended up in the wrong room and putting them in the correct room so that they can actually be unpacked instead of just staying in the incorrect room. We'll see. Or if I'm going to start moving furniture around to see if there's something that makes more sense than what I currently have going on. It's an interesting challenge. It's very strange to be, or would it be the case when we moved into our house in Texas? We had less furniture than the house, and now that we're in this house in San Francisco, we now have more furniture than the house, so oh well, such is life. So, looking good for recording next week. Don't see any changes in how things are going. What would it be like? Yeah, just keep on keeping on. So with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. So take care, guys. Bye bye.